In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front upper door hinge on this Chevy Silverado. Let's get into it. Just to protect the paint, I'm going to put some masking tape on the outside of the door. Just where it meets the gap right here. Should be good like that. Now open the door all the way, and using a floor jack and a piece of wood, just raise up underneath the door just to support it just slightly, and then just make sure it's locked down real good. Now we're going to take some of these bolts off of the hinge. Use a 13mm socket. We'll take this bolt off in the back. Take that off. Now we're going to remove this bolt right here. Use a 10mm socket. Loosen that up. We're only loosening this one just so we can access these other bolts, so you don't necessarily have to take that bolt out completely. Now we'll take these two bolts out. Use a 10mm socket. Or a wrench. Pull that out. Using a 13mm wrench, there's 3 bolts that go in this way, so we'll take all those out. You can use a ratchet wrench, be a little bit easier. And take those bolts out. There's 2 more in there. You can see it's starting to loosen up. The bracket or the hinge is loose. Alright, you got the bolt out. So grabbing the hinge, you can slide this down. There's just enough of a gap right there. Very carefully. Slide it out. Now take the hinge. You want to install that the same way this came out. Slide it in position. We'll take pretty much the last bolt you took out in the back here. Get that one started first. A little tricky getting this all lined up. And get those bolts in. I'm not going to tighten those too tight. I want to get all the other bolts in first. You just want those lightly snug. Now put these bolts in. Get those bolts started. Now these 2 that go into the door, we're going to snug those up because those are not the adjustment, so you're not going to have to adjust those after. So make sure you get those nice and tight. Those are tight. Now because this hinge does not have a large stud on that bolt right there, or a longer bolt, then we don't have to tighten that down. That one's fine the way it is. And we'll put this bolt in and snug these down. not too tight, just slightly snug. I'm going to lower the door down. And then you want to slowly close the door. You want to look at the gap, make sure that nothing's hitting over here. That looks pretty good. Nothing's hitting. And you want to close the door. Make sure the door closes fine and doesn't drop down when you open it, and it's not difficult to drop. There's no bounce in that. That's perfect. So you want to snug those other bolts up. And just take the wrench and snug these down. And snug this one down. Those are tight. All those bolts are tight. Double check your adjustment, make sure everything's good, and then you can take the tape off and you're all set. Now just double check, then you can take the tape off. And it all lines up.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.